This is For Wales See Wales, Wales's leading political podcast. Now, if you want to know everything that's going on in the world of Welsh politics, you're in exactly the right place. Just give us a minute to hear from our sponsors.
Who are we sponsored by?
Hello.
Starling.
Hello, Starling.
Excellent. So, Hello Starling, media planning and buying specialists. They get your potential customers' eyeballs onto you, your product, your brand, your organisation. Let me give you an example of somebody they have worked with. So, Catch the Breeze Retreats. So Catch the Breeze Retreats is a luxury holiday brand, and they approached Hello Starling and they said, "Hello Starling, we would like you to help us drive more bookings." So Hello Starling put together a campaign for them, and there was an 857% return on ad spend.
Sorry, say that again. 857%?
Yes, an 857% return on ad spending. So this meant that for almost every £1 that was spent on advertising, they got 10 quid back. That is a delicious return.
That's really, really good. That's like sort of, I mean, I'm not a gambler, but it feels like Ray Winstone should be doing this. Like,
Now.
nah, return on your screen, nah.
The reason why they are good at getting these kinds of returns is because they use data, they use evidence, they look at what works, they look at what your company is, and they create a bespoke and tailored campaign for you. So if you want to find out more, go to hellostarling.com. That's hellostarling.com.
One more time. Hello and welcome to For Wales See Wales with me, Robin Morgan.
Me, Mel Owen.
Me, Will Hayward.
Welcome back,
You
everyone.
sounded like you weren't sure.
Yeah, sure.
And with
Me, Robin Morgan.
Yeah.
It's half term. I'm very sleepy.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm really tired this week. You know, no kids though, no excuse.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, not likening my dog to your kids for a
No,
second.
that's fine. You do that. They woof a lot. They bark.
Do they eat pedigree chum?
Oh, exclusively.
That's all they'll eat.
So malnourished.
Yeah, I'm looking after my my mum and dad's dog at the moment. They've age 60 gone to find themselves in Asia.
Oh my, they
they've
eat, pray,
gone-
love.
they've
Going to a
gone-
full moon party.
They're in Thailand right now.
Are they actually?
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
I was like, Mum, if you come home with a tribal tattoo or my dad in fucking harem pants, I'm gonna have an issue.
I would
you know?
love that.
Cornrows.
Please no. But yeah, so I've got their dog, and it's a lot, you know. Tired.
How old's the dog?
3, so she's out of the shark phase.
What's the shark face?
Oh, and when they're like they're teenagers,
Right.
just everything is like bite.
Right.
It's not hurting you, but it's just constant.
Yeah.
Like piss off.
Sure.
Like, always.
Dogs sound fun.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you hate this.
We didn't do a trigger warning for you, Will, right across the table. What's been going on in Welsh politics, Will?
A lot has been going on in Welsh politics. So it's recess right now, but that only gives us more time to dig into a lot of the stuff that we didn't have time to talk about. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
So as we near the election, you get that desire to look back at all the stuff that was promised before the last election. And there's been a lot of promises over the years in Wales. So we are, I think by now, we should have ended domestic violence, which I don't think we have. We were supposed to have 20,000 new social homes, which we don't. We will by the end of this year, but only as a gross figure. It doesn't include houses that have left the market. What else? We were supposed to have ended child poverty, what day is it today? 6 years ago. And
It's not funny.
any others jump out at you?
Well, it's not by now, but
Okay.
we by 2030 meant to be an anti-racist nation.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
are you feeling as Robin stopped his rampant racism?
He has. I would say in this room, I feel quite like it's quite anti-racist.
I save it for outside. That's why.
You do it anonymously.
As soon as the door closes, it's,
Boom.
yeah. I
Yeah,
kick
he
off.
gets all out of his system before he comes in here, and I thank you for that.
You know, I'm listening, learning, trying to be an ally.
Ally. I do notice neither of you take the knee when I walk into the studio. I find that offensive.
Can you imagine if we did that?
I would love it. I'm not gonna...
Okay, live show. We'll get the entire audience to take the knee.
Do not attempt me.
I think you just assume you're just being proposed to.
Yeah, which would make complete sense
Yeah.
to me. What, you mean 100 people want to marry me? Obviously.
It's Aberystwyth. Of course this happens.
Every
Of course
time I
this
come
happens.
home.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine what certain corners of the internet would do if they got wind of mixed race woman demands white men kneel when she enters rooms.
This is true. It's what they already think of me anyway.
Yeah.
And that's fine. What do you guys think of when you think like anti-racist? Because I think also that's quite an floaty term, right?
It's quite nebulous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, there's a lot to it. Because I suppose when they announced that sort of Wales will become an anti-racist nation, like, what does that mean? What do they mean that it's going to be eradicated from all of society within our nation? Is it that we're more unified as a country, and we've educated future generations? Like, what is it?
I think it's so I went on an anti-racism trip with Vaughan Gething, who some of you might remember, to Alabama, actually.
Oh, fucking hell. The tip of America.
Hang on, sorry. I was reading up what the anti-racist Wales action plan. You went to Alabama with Vaughan Gething on an anti-racism journey?
Yes.
To find out where it came from.
Trust me, it came from there. God, you've not seen racism until you've been to Alabama. And I'm sorry to our listeners who might be there, but we have to call a spade a spade. It was rough, right? There was one day. Okay, right. So just to give you a bit of context, it was the 60th anniversary of the Welsh window. You guys familiar with Welsh window?
Explain for the audience.
So in Birmingham, Alabama, a church was blown up by the KKK, and 4 young girls died. 2 young boys died in the crush outside the church, and Welsh people raised loads of money to provide this church with a stained glass window, and it was the first stained glass window in America to depict Jesus as a non-white man. And so Birmingham, Alabama have always had this kind of love for Wales, and on the 60th anniversary, a group of us to do with the Urdd and the Welsh Government were invited out as a thank you, basically. And Vaughan Gething was a part of that as well. Went there and talked a lot about anti-racism and Wales's anti-racist plan. And it was really awkward, I would say, because Vaughan Gething was there as, the representative of the Welsh Government to tell these people in Birmingham, Alabama, how well Wales is doing with anti-racism. And the rest of us delegates were all a bit I don't know if this is true. Yeah. And there was a really awkward session where we didn't all have a go at Vaughan, but we were a bit you need to stop the bullshit. You can't pretend that Wales is this haven of peace and unity. That's not the case. But on the scale, don't get me wrong, when you see some of the racism that still occurs in places like Birmingham and Alabama, yeah, we're doing well, but we cannot pretend that Wales is this beacon of hope when it comes to racial equality.
Yeah, it's that thing of which government was it? Was it Boris who said we're less racist than other places?
Wow.
Or was that that Dave lyric at the Brits? Less racist is still racist, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. On a very more trivial note, Vaughan Gething was a bit like Britney Spears in terms of have you heard?
Shaved his head.
Exactly that. And he wouldn't talk to us directly. His people would talk to us, and then if they'd be are you ready to talk to the minister? And we'd be yeah. We'd be in some
actually how it went down.
Genuinely, we'd be in some mine somewhere where we were being shown where slaves used to work and stuff, and then he'd float past and he'd be are you ready to talk to the minister? And we'd be yeah, and then he'd say something to us thank you so much for being here, and we were that's fine.
So he'd been Minister of the Economy then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he wasn't first.
He wasn't First Minister at the time.
Pre-FM.
No. But then afterwards, one of his people would come over and be that meant a lot to him, that chat, thank you.
Wow.
We were what's going on?
So handled. And
So odd. So odd. Yeah, it was a very odd trip. But, the reason I bring it up is it was very embarrassing having a representative of the Welsh Government try and portray Wales as this, amazing anti-racist country. And I understand that anti-racism is the act of, it's not enough to say, I'm not racist. It's more, I am actively fighting racism where I can, do we feel that's happening in Wales? 2030 is in 4 years. Can we just remember that? Which is wild to me, because to me it's still 2008.
Yeah, yeah. 2003 in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bowling for Soup.
Bowling for Soup. I'm seeing them in the summer. Cardiff Castle.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Let's not get distracted by a very white band. We're talking about anti-racism, and Will's ears picked up when he heard Bowling for Soup.
When he said Bowling for Soup, when he distracted it.
I'll be honest with you, I've never heard from them. From the name, whitest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You've never heard of Bowling for Soup?
No.
Girl, All the Bad Guys Want?
No.
1985?
No, this is getting worse.
Let's talk about 2030 and the anti-racism plan.
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to be having more of an impact on people's lives
Go on.
in 2030? Bowling for Soup will be having more of an impact than this anti-racist plan from
Yeah.
the Welsh Government.
The plan, what's in... I tried to look at their strategy, and even that's fucking nebulous.
I'm
coming across... Have you got it?
I've got it up here.
Okay.
Being anti-racist is actively opposing racism in all its forms. It means working towards breaking down systems of racial oppression discrimination involving more than just holding non-prejudiced views or avoiding acts of racism, challenging and confronting racist beliefs, behaviours and institutional structures, recognising your own privilege and understanding how it contributes to systemic racism. Now, they've got a 2024 update on the plan. Let me have a look.
Because they started it in 2022, right?
Yeah.
Which 8 years, to give yourself 8 years feels crazy. Bear in mind, they've gone 1 million speakers by 2050. And they think we're going to be completely overhauled as a society by in 8 years.
What annoys me about the way that they go about it is I think any normal person would look at society and think, we don't want it to be racist. I think that is something that I would hope we would all agree on. My issue with the energy that the Welsh Government put in to this isn't the kind of the overall aim, which is good. It's the fact that I think there is very much better ways that they can use the quite significant powers they have to improve the lives of people in Wales, especially people of colour. So I used to do a thing every year where we would freedom of information request the 4 police forces in Wales, and we'd look at whether they non-white representation within officers is the same as the communities in which they serve. So it'd be weird if kind of North Wales police force was 60% non-white, because overwhelmingly that's not the case in North Wales. But you would want representation to be at least kind of equivalent. And what you'd also want is it through the ranks. You would want people in positions of authority. You also want non-white women. And that was something that forces often struggled with. What I find with the Welsh Government is you see in Wales that actually one of the, and we saw it a lot during COVID, is that if you are not white, you're more likely to be in poverty, for example. And actually, it varies more when you dive down into individual groups, because obviously that's quite a broad spectrum. But let's give the example of Riverside in Cardiff, which is a really, really diverse area. Highest levels of poverty in Wales. And yes, an anti-racism action plan is not a bad thing in of itself. But ultimately, what people there need is functioning public services. If you have shit public services, it disproportionately hits poorest people in society. And if people who are people of colour are disproportionately within those groups, then your poor public services are disproportionately hitting those groups more. It's a frustrating, because you don't want to sit here and say, oh, we don't want to tackle issues of racism, but also, do you know what would really, really help people in Wales is having things like a functioning economy and access to quality education regardless of where you live. I can't help but get around the idea that this was something the Welsh Government jumped on because they were like, oh, this chimes with our values, rather than thinking, right, how can we make the biggest difference to the worst off in our society? And I have noticed since Leonard Morgan's come in, their focus on the kind of anti-racism stuff they have not put that front and centre as much. And I don't know if that's because they are, she's just all about growth, isn't she? That's how she says you improve Welsh society. It's a really tricky thing to kind of articulate, especially as someone who's white, because I don't want to say there isn't value in a plan which I think the principles behind it are fundamentally really good. But I also am so used to the Welsh Government just paying lip service to important issues. It's a frustration for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the intention is good, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you get quite distrusting. Is that a word? Distrusting of a government who, like you say, pays lip service to these kind of things quite a lot, but the results are very rarely seen. I know that they have worked with some amazing groups in Wales to kind of put this plan together, but ultimately it is up to the government to make sure that the results are seen, and they're just... Let's look at where we are societally at the moment. It's just not the case. We're going backwards. making such a sweeping statement about where they were going to be in 80 years' time.
Yeah, that's it.
Makes it feel so unserious. If they said, look, it's going to take 50 years, but this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. And I know they put things in place for education. I know they've got the Black History bit on the curriculum, which, if I'm going to be honest, again, I don't love, because when you start teaching slavery, why is that Black History? We didn't do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it white history. Like, even that is done incorrectly, in my opinion. But it feels unserious to go, 8 years solved.
You know, as you say that, I think that's fundamentally it, isn't it? It's the fact that it was, we're going to have done that by 2030. And it just feels like the act of doing that, to me, feels unserious.
Yeah.
And I think that's my issue with it, is that actually a lot of the aims within the plan, when you look at it, like, I think is stuff that you want to embed within how you work generally. But this, we're going to do it by 2030, just felt quite lip servicey.
Do you know what? It's really difficult because a lot of people were saying, I do agree, that having mixed race children does not solve racism, as much as I'd like to take all the credit. Like, I completely agree, having mixed families does not solve racism. However, like, I went back to Ceredigion to do like a week in different schools and talks and stuff, and the amount of children of colour in these schools, I genuinely cried with happiness to be like, oh my gosh, I was the only one for what felt like my whole childhood. And I'm going back and I'm seeing like little Dove Rigs who are half Asian, and I'm seeing like little Arianas and they're half Jamaican. I'm like, this is amazing. And like that, if the deep rural Welsh countryside looks so different now compared to what it did 20 years ago, I think it feeling more normal in another 20 years will be a huge help. Waving a flag and going 8 years' time is not doing it.
Yeah, I think the lip service thing, that's something that the Welsh Government have been criticised for. I think across the board with a lot of these big statements, and the idea of like, yep, we're going to ban lying and we're going to ban racism and it's going to be done in 5 years. I think, as you say, it's unserious, and I think...
Yeah.
You know, put the work in, and I'm sure, you know, in terms of work, as you say, working with groups and changing educational things, I think will help. But yeah, it's a complete lack of understanding of how big it is if you feel like you can fix things within 8 years. And as you said, do you feel like things are getting worse? Like you mentioned earlier, do you think it's not getting better? It's going the other way?
Yeah, for sure. I think, in short, I felt like there was a huge surge of people trying to understand and do better after George Floyd's death. And then there's been a road back of, we've gone too far now, let's slow this horse down, you know? And I think there are people who feel like they, as a straight white man, are now the minority, or they feel the least listened to, you know? And I think there's a misunderstanding that equality means bringing everybody up to the same level. It doesn't mean taking away from somebody. So yeah, definitely there's been a shift. It'll be interesting to see as we get closer to an election, as these things kind of heat up, these issues do heat up as well, whether we'll see that those separations. I don't know.
If the Welsh Gov hadn't made this sort of grand plan of like we're going to be anti-racist by 2030, but it's still been doing the things that they're doing. Yeah. I wonder if that sort of like puts less sort of like pressure on it. But then do you get not that they're looking for praise from it, but I suppose it's a roadmap, isn't it? That's the goal. But if you do these things and you do the work quietly, does it still have the same reaction? I don't know. It's a tricky one, right?
Does it have the same impact? I mean, for me, it's the timeline that's the issue for me.
Yeah.
Like, nobody surely could have gone 8 years feels like enough.
Yeah.
You know? So, for me, if they'd have said 2050, I'd have been like, oh, they've got a plan. You know?
I also don't... It's not like a fixed point. It's not like you go, completed that.
No, it's not like the language thing where you can go, we've got 1 million speakers.
Yeah, it just doesn't
how do you quantify anti-racism?
Like, I think you can make the argument, like, and also it's not Wales isn't operating in a vacuum. It's something that can go down as well as up. Like, and I think you can definitely look online, especially, and think, like, stuff which is overtly racist has become much more mainstream. And like
what's the terminology you use where...
The Overton window.
Yes, the Overton window. That's changed, right?
Yeah, and like that kind of, to me, is kind of the naivety of the plan. And I do get their idea of, there was so much momentum behind this after what happened to George Floyd, and I think you want to use things like that as for something good to come out of it. And I get that. It's the complete lack of ability to benchmark. There's no way you can achieve or not achieve that. There's no, oh yeah, let's look at the anti-racism scale. Oh, we did it. Woo! And then someone says something and you go, or does something, or, oh, we didn't notice that societal structure which we didn't unpick. We failed. It felt like government lip service to a complicated and nuanced problem. And I think that's what annoys me.
To finish the point, and I'm trying to so carefully word this. So there was an organisation who is not the Welsh Government who planned an event in the Senedd. And I was a part. They'd asked me to come along and be a panelist, and it was one of those that like wasn't about being an ethnic minority, but you look around, you'd be like, suspiciously brown in here. A lot of melanin floating about. And we're all looking at each other, the Spider-Man meme of like, hang on a second. And the organiser, who was a Caucasian lady, I don't want to point out, I think her intentions were good. And she's escorting me on the Senedd, like meeting all these different people. And then she introduces me to a minister within the government. And she was like, oh, and this is Mel, one of our... and me and said minister both, I was like, I just want to see. Beautiful was the first word. Brilliant. Loved that. Great stuff. BAME. Liked it less. Creatures.
Wow.
Did she then just hold you up like Simba in the Lion King? and everyone else was going,
wow.
Simba. Do you know what? She's not going to be able to do that from 2030. I'll tell you that.
No,
for sure.
absolutely. That's the first thing on the list, actually. We're banning that.
Good job. We're going to unpick that start of society.
Maybe that's why the plan was enacted, to stop that ever being said.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful BAME creatures.
One of the beautiful BAME creatures.
It was BAME. Oh, I know.
Just being referred to as BAME.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought, this, when you ask me, do I really feel like we're going backwards? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And this was a well-intentioned person.
Yeah.
I can't even be angry at her, but I can. But, yeah, so anyway.
Would you like to hear about somebody who was very anti-racist before?
Go on.
Go on. Who?
Reform's new leader in Wales.
Dan Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Reform have been pretty outspoken about their stance on immigration. They have tapped into a certain area of society which is very opposed to immigration. And I think there's been examples where Reform supporters have conflated immigration with just anybody who's not white. And I think there is a line which has been trodden and often, I think, crossed, where essentially stuff which is quite appalling is being couched as legitimate debate around immigration. But Dan Thomas, the new leader of Reform, we had a little look back through some of the stuff he said when he was leading Barnet Council. And this guy really cares about diversity. After the killing of George Floyd in the US in 2020, he gave a very passionate statement. This is still on the council website.
Can I ask, what party was he in?
He was in the Conservatives at this point.
No, a Conservative... Stop it.
So he said, "These events have led me to reflect on racism at home as well as abroad, and how proud I am to represent Barnet, a borough made so much better and more interesting thanks to its rich diversity. All citizens should be treated equally and fairly, no matter their background, belief or orientation. There is no place for racism or hatred in any society." Okay. He went on to talk about the council's Together We Are Barnet programme to, quote them, "to celebrate the borough's diversity and show how much the many communities of our borough do for Barnet as a whole. We are working to bring people together while racists work to push people apart. Black lives matter. This fact must be recognised as a standalone truth to bring about the societal change we need to ensure that every person in this country and around the world is given equal opportunity. There is much work to do, and I will always do what I can to fight for all of Barnet's residents. To combat hate, we must all work together."
What happened?
Well, to be fair, like Mr. Thomas hasn't come out and said that he doesn't think Black Lives Matter anymore. He hasn't come out to say that he thinks diversity is bad. But he did use his maiden speech to talk about an alleged fight between people who weren't white, and saying that never used to happen here. Going to go on a limb and say there's definitely been fights between men in Blackwood before. But don't worry, this isn't the only time he's said this. In 2021, in July, there'd been the hate speech directed towards the England football team. Do you remember after they lost the Euros?
Yeah.
And he said that racism and hate speech have no place in our society, and that he was proud of the staunch anti-racist stance we take in Barnet. He said the perpetrators were vile and cowardly, and the council would work with the police to ensure all reported cases of racial abuse were investigated and the culprits held to account. He then added that diversity and inclusion were, to use his words, integral to everything the council does, and that they truly value the diverse nature of their communities. So that's not all.
I want to take back what I said, because actually, if Dan Thomas is First Minister by May, we might be anti-racist by 2029.
We might be chased by the final. The second that he takes the stand as First Minister,
Yeah.
I imagine all the racists will go better. I mean, if Dan's on it,
Yeah.
if it's going to be
100%.
integral to everything they do.
Integral to everything he does.
So, if I was to say to you, reform policies which aren't 20 miles an hour removal, what would you say the main one is? What else do they want to abolish?
We want to abolish not building a new M4.
Yeah.
Abolish animals.
They want. I would say
Something with two small boats. Yeah, small boats. Right. That kind of thing.
well, nation of sanctuary.
Oh, of course.
They hate. The only real thing you can pin them down on is their hatred of the nation of sanctuary, which, as we recall, was mainly for Ukrainian refugees, and the overwhelming purpose of it is to help people integrate within Wales. So, in the council newsletter in October 2021, this is Barnet Council, he talked about how proud he was that Barnet was the first borough in London to resettle Afghan refugees fleeing crisis. He said, "We will always strive to make Barnet a welcoming home for all. I am pleased that we can offer 5 Afghan households the opportunity to resettle here." He basically made it really clear that he wanted to welcome people from overseas who are seeking asylum here.
Can I also just add to that point? At this time, like that 2020, 2021, 2022, this is quite strong of him, because a lot of Conservatives were coming out with it's all lives matter, let's not go too far. Like, this was, within the party he was in, he was really sticking his head above the parapet.
The Conservative Party was splitting at this point. You had the Rees-Moggs, you had the Liz Trusses, who were sort of going towards more that sort of, not really reform at that point, but you know what I mean, like that
ideology,
that right of centre, that ERG, that Brexit kind of idea. But he wasn't. He was. This is what, 2022.
Yeah, this was 2021.
Okay, and then he leaves in 2022. Is that right? Is that when he quits as a?
No, he defected within the last year.
Oh, but did the Conservatives lose the council in 2022?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is very sad to me. I'm not going to lie. This is very sad, because you had somebody doing great work, putting their head above, being brave within a party where that wasn't getting much thanks for it.
I mean, he was running a London council. So when you've got Tories like Rees-Mogg who are kind of courting more rural Tory votes, you say, and he's going counter to them. Obviously, there is an element of self-preservation here. What this can tell us is, given that he's now defected to Reform and he's leading a party which, let's be fair, is pretty anti-immigration, their rhetoric is very, very strong. The fact that he has previously been so outspoken about it, you can either say he's changed kind of his moral compass, or you can say he's incredibly opportunistic and he speaks to the audience in which he's talking to, which is what we said about James Evans.
Well, exactly. I was about to say, I mean, James Evans was also, I think you could say, has previously been quite a centrist in terms of the Conservative Party, and is now sort of scuttled right.
Well, he was scared. He said that Reform was scary and dangerous, the way they attack minorities.
They had no plan for Wales.
They do now, and the plan is James Evans.
Yes, it is. And, this is really hard to trust anything that these people are saying. When I say these people, I do mean James Evans and Dan Thomas at the moment, because of the change of mind and the change of core beliefs. Like, with Dan Thomas here, to say these things, like you say, he might have been saying them because of where he was and what would earn him votes and what would keep his supporters happy with where he was in Barnet, right? But, are you honestly telling me this man thought that and now thinks so differently now, 4 years down the line?
Is he saying that, though? Is this just councils? Has some bod within Barnet Council written that and he's just put his signature at the bottom?
Well, I've got a picture of his face where it says, statement from council leader Dan Thomas. And it says, Black Lives Matter.
Which is, again, I'm sorry to say for the
Daryl,
third
I'll send you
time.
that. Put that up.
That was strong for the time. You had so many Tory MPs coming out being like, whoa, guys, like, all lives matter.
Yeah.
That is a strong statement.
Yeah. It really shows where he was within the Conservative Party at that point.
But he's changed. And like we said, people are allowed to change their minds. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't think Black Lives Matter anymore. We're not saying that. He might still believe all of these things. It's just, he hasn't, I don't think, said anything to the contrary, but it's hard to think that he could represent a party whose just main ethos is very kind of anti this.
He did another statement after some anti-Semitic language was shouted from a car in North London, where he said, "We remain extremely proud of our borough's diversity and the way our communities live together."
Yeah.
I mean, if you stood up in that Reform conference where he was announced and you said the following lines, nothing else. If you said, Black Lives Matter, I'm very proud of our borough's diversity. And you also said, all citizens should be treated equally, no matter their background, belief or orientation. There is no place for racism or hatred in our society. I don't think he would have got the warmest reaction.
No, I mean, they'd still be Googling who he was, to be fair.
So is it worth us also saying that we would like to get, we've had a few people message and say about getting like kind of a right of centre guest
Yeah.
on the podcast. If you have a right of centre politician friend who would like to come on the podcast.
Please.
We've been asking for like a year. We've been trying really hard.
Yeah.
And I think the point to make with Reform is they do have a history of not engaging with anyone they perceive as challenging to them. So we talk about Reform a lot, but also one of the reasons we talk about them a lot is because they are making quite extreme statements with regards to their plans for Wales. They have said, we are going to form the next government in Wales and that we are going to abolish these certain things which will make a big difference, when for all intents and purposes, they are not remotely close to being anything significant in terms of Welsh Government spending. And when people say that, and they're polling really well, like there's a poll last week that put Reform on to be the largest party, we can't pretend that there aren't inconsistencies in their messaging. That isn't balance. Like, it isn't balanced to go, this party says this, and this party says that. This party, what do you think? This party, what do you think? That is just allow it being a mouthpiece for anyone who wants to speak to you. There is one of the great things about podcasting and great things about doing news in this way is that we can actually look at people and assess them and judge them on their merits. Like, journalism isn't just saying X said Y. And nobody can look at what Reform are saying at the moment and deny that there are shortcomings in the messaging, and we'd love to put that to them, but they don't speak to you if you question it. Let me give you a really good example of how they're not the biggest fans of open debate. So a couple of weeks ago, Bangor University made headlines, which is probably a misleading statement because actually they didn't make headlines. A debating society run by students made headlines because Reform's Zia Youssef went onto X and threatened to pull funding from the whole university if Reform won power. Pull funding because they had apparently banned Reform from speaking at an event. So let's break it down a bit. So Zia Youssef said, Bangor University have banned Reform and called us racist, transphobic and homophobic. Bangor receives 30 million of state funding per year, much of which comes from Reform voting taxpayers. I'm sure they won't mind losing every penny of this state funding under Reform government. After all, they wouldn't want a racist money, would they? So what has happened here?
It's a very grown-up thing to do.
Yeah, really mature.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what actually happened here. So Jack Anderton and Sarah Pochin, who Sarah Pochin is a English MP who last year had to apologise after saying it drives her mad when she sees adverts full of black and Asian people.
My friend, yes, absolutely. Hates my
Amigo.
family.
So they actually approached the debating society at Bangor University and said, we would like to take part in a Q&A with you. Can you do that? And the student group went back and said, no, we won't.
Yeah.
We don't like you and we think that your views are contrary to what our views are. Perfectly within their rights to do that. So that was what was taken as, we need to defund Bangor University. Yeah. Like, it was nothing to do with Bangor University. It's a student body. I can't say to Robin, hey, Robin, I want you to organise a party for me. And you go, Will, I don't want to do that. I don't really like you. And me go, I'm going to take all your money.
I don't want that to happen.
No. So literally just would it, because it's a society, right? It's not the official Bangor University kind of their morals and who they're. It's like me going to the Netball Society, right, and being like, I would like you to host a Q&A with me.
Yeah.
And they go, well, no, because
Yeah.
you can't catch a ball.
Yeah.
And me being like, well, defund them.
Absolutely.
Defund the whole university.
Yeah, Lee Anderson is not allowed to play ultimate frisbee on the Bangor University campus. So these two MPs wanted
One MP.
One MP wanted to go to the debating society. Now, this is something that they're trying to do in quite an American way of trying to go onto campuses, right? Because they've seen how popular that is within like getting young people to sort of talk about right of centre politics. And that's what they're trying to do. And I think they've been going around other universities, and some of these things have taken place. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw something that there was one like 20 people attended. So it's not this like massive like campus rally thing.
Like the ones you see on TikTok, right?
Yeah,
and they've got
for
like a student and a much older person debating, basically. And both of them being like, I owned them. Kind of,
totally. You see it like Oxbridge ones quite a lot, right? So the Bangor Society just was like, no, thank you. Your views are sort of fundamentally opposed to what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the story.
So that is all the story is.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Laura Ann Jones, who has dodged several interviews, went into the Senedd and said this.
A debating society refusing debate. Well, that's a new one. Trevor, if I'm calling for a statement from your government following a decision made by the Debating Political Society at Bangor University to refusing a request from Reform UK representatives to take part in a Q&A. And in their statement, using loaded, hateful language such as racist, transphobic and homophobic. Reform have 6 MPs, 2 MSs, 1 MSP and 1,000 councillors across the UK and are likely to get an awful lot more in May. Surely the answer to speech that you don't like is more debate, not cancelling them.
So to be fair, they go on, Mel.
The narcissism of going, it's, you know, like when you try, say you're with somebody, right, and they go, what have I done wrong? And you tell them what they've done wrong. You're like, well, now you've made me feel bad.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Well, no, it's so close. I just told you what you did. That's all it is. No, it's really hurtful to us when you call us racist, transphobic, homophobic. Like, that really hurts our feelings. Don't do those things then.
Yeah.
That's
Feel quite
easy.
attacked.
Yeah, I feel very attacked right now.
So do you know what's the dumbest thing about all of this is the fact that they're going, this is an attack on free speech. We should be able to say whatever we want. Bangor University Society have said what they want. We're going to defund them. It's completely like counterintuitive. It's let's put aside the fact that this, let's be honest, they've deliberately kind of created an argument in order to have a big visual fight to keep themselves in the headlines. Yeah. That's what they've done. But if you are at a point where we now have a government which, odds on, might be forming the next UK government, could be the largest party in the Senedd, saying, if you do something we don't like, we are taking your money away. Not only if you do something, if somebody who is near you, not even you.
Yeah, sure. Associated with you.
Yeah. We will take away your money. That is a terrifying state of affairs. It's horrifically dictatorial from a party which claims to respect democracy and claims to respect free speech, for them to simultaneously say something we don't like and we will take away your money. That is really scary. But what is interesting is Reform in Wales tried to backtrack because Jason O'Connell went on BBC Breakfast and said that this was not their policy, that it's not Reform's policy to do this. Now, to be clear, Zia Youssef, who suggested this, is Reform's head of policy. But I think it adds a wider question of, Nigel Farage said that Reform in Wales will be
Dan Thomas's thing, right?
Dan Thomas's thing. They're setting their own policies, they're setting their own agenda. But what we have here is the Reform UK's head of policy based in London talking about education in Wales, which is devolved.
Yeah.
And saying, we will do this. And then someone in Wales saying, actually, no, we wouldn't do that.
It's not as if Zia Youssef was talking about the University of Essex and somebody in Wales going, oh, by the way, we wouldn't do that here, just to let you know. He's talking about a university in Wales. So already there's this friction of what the Welsh Party and the UK Party are how they're going to approach things.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Where do you guys stand on this idea? Like, sometimes I think if Reform if this had taken place, if in similar universities, if 15, 20 people had turned up and the event was like, I sometimes think about this with comedians who who are right of centre and they go, oh, the venue won't take my tour show. I'm being absolutely cancelled, the free speech thing, as opposed to if you put it on, I'm not sure how many people would attend.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, should that just happen? And you have these 10 people there and it just kind of is a bit of a damp squib. I don't know where you stand on that.
It's difficult because I think that's definitely a possibility where you go, like you say, it's probably going to flop, you know, and it's been allowed to happen. But then when I think it happens enough times, that's when audiences build.
You normalise it, right?
Yeah, a few more people come and a few more people come. I think had I been in that debating society in Bangor, I would have argued to have allowed them to come. Because I do think that when you push these people underground and you don't listen to them, they become more and more poisonous, I would say. You know, that's not me saying that they're poisonous right now. I'm saying when you push people underground, they become angry. It feeds into the we're disenfranchised, we're not being listened to.
Sure.
So I think I would have argued as a student, let's let them. And we can fundamentally disagree, and let's fucking have this Q&A. I'll give them some Qs. You know, that's how it is done. And some A's, am I right? Don't know what that was.
Yeah.
But I think I would have. But it is their choice, and they said we don't want that here. We're a society. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
And this rhetoric, we don't want it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a debate which was being held like.
It wasn't a hustings at the university.
Well, put it this way. Last week, the Bevan Commission had essentially like a question time on health policy, which I chaired. Representatives from the Greens, the Lib Dems, Labour and Plaid were there. The Tories and Reform were both invited. Obviously, the Tories were in a tricky position because it would have been James Evans doing it, but then he defected. Neither Reform or the Conservatives showed up. They didn't put anyone forward. And this was a debate which was focused on the biggest issue facing Wales, the NHS, and they didn't turn up. So let's not work under the illusion that they're desperate to put that message out there and they're just been held back. They were offered a chance to be in a room with people talking about the biggest issue facing Wales, with people who were overwhelming, had expertise in that field, and they didn't even show up. So let's not pretend, but because some 18-year-olds who, let's be honest, they're freshers, they're not a publicly funded body, they're a society, they pay to run through their own union. Let's not pretend that these guys are holding back your free speech. You were offered a chance to speak about the country you allegedly want to govern, and you didn't even turn up. How can you possibly make these arguments? And we know why they're making the arguments, because people are talking about it, because supporters who see it go, yeah, they're giving it to those, they're trying to shut down our debate. They're not.
Whoever you were going to send to Bangor, send them here. Send them to the Hayman Studios. We'll have a chat. You want free speech? Let's have a chat.
I think we might hear from them. Maybe.
Well, we've covered a lot today.
Yeah, we have. Look at us go.
We have a lot of ground. Do you know where is a lot of ground away from here? Aberystwyth.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to it?
I can't wait. It's going to be really, really fun. Our third live show.
Third live show at my hometown. Can't wait. Ticket, we got 10 left.
No way.
Only 10 tickets left.
Time of record. I mean, who knows?
That'll go this week then, I reckon.
So absolutely, please do come. When they are gone, they are gone. Really looking forward. Do you know what? I'm a bit alarmed. Haven't seen in the list of people who are coming, none of my family members. Bit disappointing.
Interesting.
Yeah, but maybe that's good. You know?
Oh, you can go off on them.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Where can people get those remaining 10 tickets?
So I think the links, wherever you find this podcast, go into the links, or on our Instagram, the link is in our bio there. Or literally Google for Wales See Wales Aberystwyth and it comes up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Really looking forward. What's everybody else got coming up? You've got a book coming out. Tell us everything.
I've got a book coming out. It's called Who Cares About Wales? It's available now for pre-order. It's out on March the 13th. Robin has just started reading it.
I have.
Have you?
A page turner. I'm really enjoying it. Really, really enjoying it.
There's lots of really legitimate reasons to be angry about the situation in Wales. This tells you the things to actually be angry with it, because it's the person in a suit in a corridor, not the person in a boat, who you need to be annoyed with.
Can I tell you a little secret? Because Will gave me a little advance copy for it that I'm reading And I pre-ordered a copy from Waterstones as well because I felt really guilty about it. So one's coming to my house really soon as well.
You have 2 copies. That is support.
Like eventually I'm going to have one in every room.
Excellent. Yes, as you should.
Doorstops.
Yeah, drafty house. So I'm going to sort of like, I need some pulp. I need to test out the new shredder.
How exciting. Well, I can't wait to read it.
It's very good.
And then so much.
It's very, very good. Very
what
good.
have you got coming up, Mr. Robin Morgan?
I'm still on tour until the start of May. If you go to my website, robinjmorgan.co.uk/tour, I'm hitting around the UK. And then the next tour will probably go on sale after this one's finished.
How exciting. So if we've already been like, oh my God, I just need more of him.
More Robin Morgan, then
Yeah.
just stay in touch.
Yeah, just stay in the theatre you were in.
Yeah, and then 18 months later, and if you can't come to a gig, then my home address is...
Mel, are you in Birmingham, Alabama touring?
Me and Vaughan are not returning to Birmingham, Alabama.
A double act.
Imagine.
I'd love that.
Just his minister, just his spad talking through us, basically.
That meant a lot.
I'm doing a show in Machynlleth Comedy Festival, which they've given me a ridiculously big room. Please book a ticket, please. I do not have enough friends to fill it. So please come. And also, if you're in Aberystwyth on the day of our live show, the day before, I am doing a TEDx talk in the same venue.
That's so cool.
I actually might just camp at Aragorch because I'm there Saturday and Sunday. Do a TEDx talk titled "Female Friendships Are Vital to Our Survival."
I love that.
Yeah, and I've been loving doing all the little research on it.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to come to that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Really fun.
Yes, absolutely. I will see you guys next week, probably.
Yes, please.
Bye.
All right.